Welcome to the show, guys. Week 2 is already here. We are talking about waiver wire week 2. Got some pickups here for you. You may want to consider picking up off free agency, and I'm pretty sure most of these guys are going to be available in your league that are going to help you guys potentially moving forward. This is very important because waiver wire, you may pick up some gems that could really make a significant impact down the road, maybe be potential league winners. Now, I've got a list here. Some of them may be 1 week wonders, like I say, but I'm going to make you guys aware of that. We're going to talk about it. Got some quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, everything here to get you guys set for week 2. I can't believe it. We're already talking week 2, and the weeks are just going to keep rolling along here. Now, before I get into this, guys, you might want to write this code down. I got my pen. The code is, you might want to tattoo it. No, don't tattoo it. I'm serious, but it's because I may change the code eventually. FFC20 is the code you want to write down when you're hungry. Head on over to Hooters.com or download the app, guys. Use code FFC20. Save yourself $10 on order of 30 or more. Try the wings. Try the nachos. I'm telling you guys, it's going to enhance that game watching experience. I don't like watching games unless I have my wings with me or some good food. Hooters.com or download the app right now. And I'm telling you guys, use the code FFC20. Save yourself $10 on order of 30 or more. Go right now. Download the app. It's at select locations across America. Hooters.com, FFC20. Go right now. Order some food. I'm excited. Football's here. Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday, whenever it is. Even when you're watching UFC, order some food. Write that code down, FFC20. All right, let's dive into waiver wires. I'm going to start here with the quarterback position. Now, with quarterbacks, I tell you, anchor your team with an ace quarterback. If you got 16 rounds, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Justin Herbert saved my week. I'm telling you, it was a good week. I had Saquon. A couple other people crapped the bed for me. Henry was the guy who crapped the bed, Dameon Pierce. But if you anchor your team with an ace quarterback, you can have solid points. Now, these guys that are available here this week that I'm going to recommend potentially are going to be backups at best, or especially a second quarterback in a 2-quarterback league, okay? First guy, I was talking about him in the offseason and had a good week, and I think he is as advertised, or as I advertised him because he's completely underrated. The guy I'm talking about is Davis Mills. He had himself a good campaign, 15.5 points, nothing to get excited about, but he was efficient. 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 240 yards. And again, he's still kind of like a rookie. He's still young, but he looked good. He looked fresh. He looked solid. Couple overthrows, couple underthrows, but overall can be a relatively efficient quarterback for you to cover your bye week, good backup, a second quarterback in a 2-quarterback league, or as a third quarterback as a backup in a 2-quarterback league. And I always tell you, if you're a 2-quarterback league, always have 3 quarterbacks. So Davis Mills is a guy I've been high on. I think the kid could be special. I'm excited about him. You may want to consider him. I'm pretty sure he's available in a lot of leagues. The other guy is Carson Wentz. Now, not as efficient, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He threw for 313 yards, and he had 27.72 fantasy points. Not bad, okay? Carson Wentz, if you are desperate for a quarterback in a 2-quarterback league, or if you want that backup, could be relatively efficient. Maybe it was a 1-week wonder type of game. He was playing an easy matchup, right? He played, Jacksonville? I mean, it wasn't that hard of a matchup, so maybe it was a 1-week wonder, but again, if you're desperate for quarterback, he had himself a good week. Moving on to running backs here. And again, with quarterbacks, you should be solid if you got your ace quarterback. Oh, by the way, the news with Mac, he should be good. Mac Jones, I did an episode yesterday. Mac Jones should be good. From what I heard, it was back spasms. I'm not sure exactly how many. I think he should be good to go, maybe next week or the week after. Mac Jones should be good. And again, he shouldn't be your starter. He should be a backup at best. Other than that, with quarterback, I don't see anyone else that I would trust here. You know, you don't want Flacco. He sucked. He threw an interception, crapped the bed, but he had like 15 points as well. But if you are desperate, those are the 2 guys that I think would be available in your leagues, all right? Moving on to running back here. Now, again, robust or bust, right? We saw Henry, have a bad week. We saw Eckler have a bad week. We saw a lot of running backs have bad weeks, including Najee Harris, who exited. By the way, Najee Harris, good to go. Apparently his injury is fine. He's had some foot problems, leg problems, whatever. He exited early. Should be good to go. It's not serious. He should be back next week. That's another thing that was in the news when we're talking fantasy football injury. So he's good to go. But again, with that position, there's some uncertainty. But guys performed. Guys that were drafted high performed. Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, high draft capital, performed well. Joe Mixon performed well. A.J. Dillon performed well, a guy that I was telling you, hey, man, A.J. Dillon is the RB1, and he performed like an RB1. He out-attempted Aaron Jones 10-5. He had a rushing touchdown, and he just did better. A.J. Dillon, better than Aaron Jones. I was telling you this. He's the value. Don't draft Aaron Jones, right? And go back and listen. Last episode, I did a full recap on this, so go listen to that. But when we're talking running backs, again, it's going to be slim and trim. The two guys that kind of jumped out at me that might be available on your waiver wire is the guy I'm not happy. He's a pest, Dontrell Hilliard. I don't like this guy. But when I actually sat down and looked at it, I think it was a total 1 week wonder type thing. He got the 2 receiving touchdowns, but he didn't do anything. He had like 2 attempts for 8 yards. He's not going to steal away from Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry had a bad week. So everyone is going to be going to the waiver wire drafting Hilliard thinking that I'm going to flex this guy every week. I don't see it. The guy sucked. He's been in the league since 2018, has done nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't even know who he was. Straight up, I don't know who this guy is. He's a bottom feeder. He sucks. He's 27 now. Again, 2018, he's been playing since 2018. He's done nothing since. He played no games. He started no games. He started 5 games in 2021 when Henry was banged up. But prior to that, he's never started a game in his life. He sucks. He's had 4 rushing touchdowns his entire career in going on his 5th year. I'm not concerned, but a lot of people are going to be talking about him. Pick this guy up. Derrick Henry's washed. No, he just got those receiving touchdowns, which completely inflated his numbers, and the receptions, of course, right? So, again, 61, what do you have? 61 receiving yards and 3 receptions, 2 receiving touchdowns. Guys, I'm not excited about this guy. He's a pest. Yes, it was annoying, but if you want to pick him up, go ahead, but I don't care for him. Another running back that jumped out at me for waiver wires, Isaiah Pacheco, 12.2 points, not bad, but it was a bit of a committee there. So I don't trust any of these receivers, these running backs there, even the receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs, because they are going by a committee. But if you want a running back, if you're desperate, Isaiah Pacheco is the guy that jumped out at me, okay, guys? With running backs, again, James Robinson, if he's available, a lot of people slept on him. I told you to draft him. I knew he'd be the RB1. I've got him on my team. I knew I faded ATN. If you guys listened and got 16 rounds, James Robinson's probably on your team. If you didn't, you may want to consider grabbing him off the waiver wire. The guy had himself a great campaign week 1. He had a touchdown. He had, 11 attempts, 66 yards, just under 20 points, PPR. Not bad for a guy that was literally probably going undrafted. So James Robinson, if he's available, you may want to consider him. Other than that, everyone else, Darrell Henderson, he could get some volume. Cam Akers sucked really bad. You may want to consider him. Rex Burkhead possibly as well. I believe Pierce will take over, but they used Rex Burkhead because they really wanted to win that game. They went with that senior guy, a guy they can kind of trust near the end, down that stretch in overtime. But I don't see him doing well. And then you want to be reaching. You got your Eno Benjamins, who had 9.1 points, a Jerick McKinnon. Guys like that. But again, you're starting to reach here, okay? Completely starting to reach. And I'm not trusting these guys. That's why I go robust or bust, okay? So that covers running backs, okay? Moving on to wide receivers, there's a whole ton of wide receivers. A guy that I was kind of sleeping on because I didn't trust the situation, but I listed him as a sleeper in 60 rounds, but wasn't really pushing him, is Jahan Dotson here. 18 points. He had 5 targets, 3 receptions, 40 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So Jahan Dotson is a guy you may want to consider and could be a viable target there for Carson Wentz. But McLaurin is there, Gibson, McKissick. They got other options as well. And I'm not really sold on Wentz. It was a good, favorable matchup. He just happened to get 2 touchdowns. But if you want a wide receiver, Dotson, Tyler Boyd, he stepped in. Higgins had that concussion, probably going to miss a game or 2. Tyler Boyd's a guy, 7 targets, got 4 receptions, got a touchdown, 13.3 points. Not bad. You may want to, deeper leagues, may want to stash him. Zay Jones, believe it or not, had himself a decent campaign. 12.5 points for Mr. Zay Jones on Jacksonville. Could, seem to be a reliable target there for Lawrence. Again, the 9 targets, 6 receptions. Targeted pretty decent at 9. 9 targets for a guy that was complete sleeper. Nobody talked about him. I didn't talk about him. Could be a value there for you. Dante Pettis didn't get a lot of targets, but he did get that touchdown out of Chicago. Again, if you are desperate for a wide receiver, Dante Pettis could be solid. Julio Jones had that big 48-yard catch. Could be a viable target, especially with Godwin, who now, again, I think he had a hamstring thing, but I don't think it's supposed to be serious. Probably going to miss a couple weeks for sure. Julio Jones, a guy that could step up, but again, you've got the injury concern with Julio, so I don't know if I really fully trust Julio Jones, but he had that big catch, right? And 5 targets, so not bad, just under 12 points. And then the upside of Mecole Hardman, again, it's going to be very boom and busty with Mecole Hardman, was a big sleeper, had himself a touchdown nothing to get excited about, okay? Again, with wide receivers, a bit of a crapshoot. You know, it's kind of hit or miss because there's so many wide receivers and some of these guys popping up. You know, do we trust him? Like a DeAndre Carter. He had 4 targets, 3 receptions. For the Chargers, with Mike Williams being inconsistent, Keenan Allen got a little banged up. A DeAndre Carter or a Palmer could be an option. But again, you're kind of like grasping at straws or whatever. You're just kind of reaching a little bit, hoping for a potential breakout. But all these guys, Dotson, Boyd, Jones could be safe plays every week, but not guys I really trust. I would probably grab them if you want, grab 1 or 2 of them and put them on your bench and feel them out. But I'm not seeing the consistency with some of these guys that I'm mentioning here, okay? With tight end, let's move on here. A bit of a crapshoot. Interesting to see Hayden Hurst get targeted a lot. 8 targets, 5 receptions, just under 10 points. The 8 targets was very interesting, something to keep my eye on there. O.J. Howard, and again, this is a guy that I put on one of my teams, hoping for some upside there with Davis Mills. And O.J. Howard had himself a good game, but very touchdown dependent. So he had the 2 targets, 2 receptions. He had those 2 touchdowns. Is that going to continue? That's the big question. But he had himself 17.8 points, but predicated on those 2 receiving touchdowns. Is that going to continue? That's the question. I doubt it, okay? Tyler Conklin here, with the Jets. What do you have? 11.4 points. So there isn't someone that really jumped out at me. Taysom Hill could be available in a lot of leagues as well. You may want to consider him 15.3 points. But overall, when I'm looking at this, guys, there isn't anyone that jumps out at me at tight end. Oh, I got to grab that guy. He's available. Kelsey, obviously, finished number 1. Consistent Everett. He should be available in leagues, but most people drafted him. Darren Waller was drafted, had himself a decent game. Zach Ertz. Most of these guys are on your team already. Mark Andrews finished 10 amongst, tight ends here. I'm seeing 10.2 points. Again, this is recorded. I ended up recording this before the Monday Night Football game. So maybe one of those players breaks out in that game as well, okay? So again, waiver wire here, week 2, gave you a bunch of names. And the most important thing I want to say here is address your needs. So make sure you are addressing your needs and pick up players accordingly. Don't just pick them up because they had one big game. All right, pick them up because you need to address that need. And if you're low on wide receivers, if you're low on running back, take a look. Who's the top running back going and make an educated decision. But don't expect anything major out of the names I said here because a lot of these guys may just be one-week wonders or maybe very volatile week in, week out. Believe in the team that you drafted. You drafted them for a reason. They may have had a down week. Don't worry. Don't get too excited. It's just 1 week. Start your best players and you will be solid. All right, guys? If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe, hit a thumbs up, drop a comment below if you have any questions for starts and sits going into week 2. I'll try to get to as many as I possibly can and join the Patreon group, patreon.com/FFcounselor. I will see you guys in the next video. Subscribe, thumbs up. Preview show coming up this week. More content coming your way consistently. We go year round, NFL news, everything. We got you covered right here. Subscribe, thumbs up. We'll talk soon. I'm out.